or I don't even know what they're called. Oh, cameraman. All right. So yeah, so we had two different things in existential crisis, and the first one that was brought up was who is building the EOS IO community. That was the first posted. And the first couple of things that we started talking about was, first of all, define building and define who is the EOS IO community. We actually started off with who is building the EOS community, and we came to consensus in the group that to add the EOS IO part, so the EOS IO community. And we had a couple of ideas of who those people were, at least in the last year and a half or so, and some that were mentioned on the post itself. VPs, token holders, Block 1, EOS VC, exchanges, dApps, enterprises, proxies, and we even went as far as saying like the tools that we're using, Telegram, and then we quickly realized that that's not necessarily the case because that's obviously too centric to a particular community, so we kind of shied away from that. So then we started defining, all right, what does building mean, and how do you build, and who is the EOS IO community? So for the first thing of who is the EOS IO community, again, we took what we had, we really focused on the devs, researchers, that kind of thing, but then we ended up thinking, well, the EOS IO community, no matter how big or small their contributions, it's really anyone who has an interest in EOS IO, and they dedicate any kind of resource, no matter how small it is. And then we started thinking about, well, what kind of value does the EOS community bring, or what kind of value can we bring to the EOS IO community? Token price was mentioned, something that was not really discussed very much last year, but clearly it's part of value that we can bring to the EOS IO community. Unique use cases, some funding, centralized foundation. So going back to Luke, what Luke just talked, this idea of somewhat of a centralized, it is decentralized at DAO, but it's still a centralized foundation, somewhere where people can go. That's one way of creating value. The tech, obviously, and stability. Stability was really important because not only the stability of the tech itself, not having too many changes, but stability of the price, stability of governance, stability of the community as a whole. If it was seen as being too unstable and too volatile, it actually brings down the value, whatever value means for individuals. This one was kind of throughout. And then which issues do we have to bring value to token holders and sorry, not token holders, but anybody who's got interest? Well, one thing is that we are incredibly decentralized. So bringing value in a decentralized fashion, when there's a lot of focus on decentralization, makes things very chaotic. So again, go back to kind of a centralized foundation. Block 1's role. So Block 1 was seen as, EOS VC, Block 1, $4 billion, that kind of thing. Well, that's an issue because our expectations of what Block 1 could potentially provide not necessarily being met. And then funding, so there's an issue with how can we bring value if we don't have funding. We talked about the shift in what we've seen in the last year, where a lot of the block producers were the ones that had access to the inflation, access to the funding, and that's somewhat shifted over time. So now there's less funding. We talked a lot about the Ethereum Foundation. We talked about Consensus, Joe Lubin, etc. PR marketing. So all of these things kind of again go back to a centralized foundation or whatnot, part of it. And then the idea behind this was then with these issues, what's in our sphere of control? Block 1's role, not really in our sphere of control. And then we talked about other things like funding, etc. What's in our sphere of control? So we finished off in what's in our sphere of control. Potentially, indirectly, inflation, the allocation of inflation and the rate of inflation. Somebody mentioned as well, sphere of control, just rage quit. GG no read, QQ, leave EOS IO. That's in your sphere of control. Resource focus. So where do you focus your time, your energy, your capital, all of that, that's in your particular sphere of control. And your expectations, that's in your sphere of control as well. You're able to manage your expectations. If you're able to manage your expectations better, then perhaps the world won't be as grim as the first picture with the existential crisis. So what are the next steps? One thing, manage expectations. That's one thing that's really, really important, either at a personal level or at a community level. United, coordinated message. Again, going back to this idea of potentially the DAO, or at least a centralized, decentralized entity that could be coordinating a message. And then WPS, allocation of resources. That could also be part of the next step, which could help bring that value to the EOS.